From narrative issues to casting choices, the king of wacky children's stories, Roald Dahl, hated one of his book's movie adaptations. Yes, I'm talking about his most beloved work as an author and the disappointment that was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Let's explore why. First up, he didn't like the fact that they changed the title. Okay, so die-hard Roald Dahl book lovers know the OG book is titled Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's no mention of Willy Wonka in the title, and Dahl wasn't a huge fan of this change. It was always Willy Wonka this and Willy Wonka that. But what about Charlie? Why isn't our main character and star of the show, Charlie, given any importance? He won the golden ticket, for crying out loud. Though don't be upset because the writer didn't just dislike the title being changed. It's obvious that Dahl wouldn't have enjoyed the upcoming prequel with Timothée Chalamet because it focuses on the early days of Willy Wonka's chocolate career.
All these years, and you haven't flossed.
He disliked the character of Willy Wonka in the movie too, and his dislike also extended toward Wonka's casting. Gene Wilder as Wonka? No thanks. The writer found him to be pretentious and believed that the actor was simply too soft and didn't have a sufficient edge. You know, something that was supposed to make the eccentric Candyman stand out. So, who did the writer have in mind? Dahl wanted Spike Milligan or Peter Sellers to portray Willy Wonka instead. But here's why both of them weren't chosen. The production team believed Milligan wasn't the right fit for the role, meaning he was a bit too weird, while Peter Sellers actually pleaded with Dahl for the part. But he didn't make the cut, which is weird because Sellers has done a lot of work in children's shows and movies before. In fact, he's best known for his portrayal of Chief Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther series. Now, one thing that's got me confused is how much did Roald Dahl dislike the movie? Because it seems he wasn't supportive of the creative differences that the 1971 film took either. The movie's soundtrack was too happy in Roald's opinion. Anyone who's seen the movie knows that the songs Candyman and Pure Imagination were an absolute banger. Like, they were such hits that countless music icons covered them. Its musical score was literally nominated for an Academy Award. And don't get me started on the nostalgia factor.
You have an appointment?
No, but he's overdue.
Open. Now, let's see what the damage is, shall we?
So, to summarize, anyone and everyone loved the movie soundtrack. Well, everyone but the man who wrote the book, that is. His buddy Sturrock shared that the writer felt the soundtrack was too saccharine. And apparently rumors say that Dahl found the songs too sappy and sentimental for his liking. Apparently, it just wasn't Dahl's cup of tea. Which is pretty ironic because the movie's songs had a huge effect on a whole generation of kids. The movie's songs stayed a part of their childhood. Maybe their love for them even got passed down to their kids like a little family heirloom. So even though Dahl didn't seem to think the music was any good, the movie-loving kids disagree. But it doesn't end there. The Oompa Loompas became a massive issue. Yep, that's right, they were an issue too cause the Oompa Loompas description was racist. At least that's what the National Association for the Advancement of Color People, aka the NAACP, felt. But how did that happen? It turns out they were racist because the author called them pygmies from the deepest heart of Africa. I'll let you figure out how he spun that one into being not as racist as it sounds. But it's obvious now that the entire process of turning Charlie's adventure into a film got off to a terrible start. So, what did the writer have to say about it? He explained that he didn't intend any offense. In a last-ditch PR attempt, Dahl also stated that at one point, Charlie was supposed to be black. Back when the novel was still in its development phase, that is. But the NAACP weren't buying it. They said that they objected to the title Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because they don't approve of the book, which is why they didn't want the film to encourage any sales of the book either. So, what was the solution? Well, to whitewash the Oompa Loompas, of course. Oh, and to make the film under a different title. Yikes! This movie was just a magnet of bad luck for the writer, don't you think? And remember how I said that the movie got off to a poor start? Well, it might be because of Roald Dahl and the director butting heads. So, to start off, Dahl was paid about $300,000 to write the original draft of the film's script. But things didn't go according to his plan, and there were many minute changes made to his script that left him pretty dissatisfied. And to make matters worse, Dahl signed a deal which gave almost full control of the movie to Warner Brothers. But the real problem is, he also didn't really care for the movie. Well, he didn't like the music in the film, or its director, Mel Stewart. Sturrock shared some hot tea about the beef between the two. The writer didn't like Mel Stewart at all, and it seems that the feeling was mutual because the director didn't like him either.
Don't lose your heads. Don't get overexcited. Just keep very calm.
Sturrock once explained in an interview that there were two kinds of directors: those who over-involve themselves in a project and those who don't even watch the finished product. And according to him, Willy Wonka helped Dahl decide that Stewart was part of the second group. And in this case, he had no idea of how the characters were supposed to be portrayed. Did you know that the Willy Wonka movie isn't the only book-to-movie adaptation that Roald Dahl hated? He's not a fan of the Big Friendly Giant movie either. Sturrock explained that when he met the storyteller back in 1985 to make a documentary on him, he ended up watching the animated BFG movie. But when he told Dahl that the movie's producers want the big man himself to come see the movie in Manchester, he declined. Dahl's not a big fan of movie adaptations, and especially not those that require him to go to Manchester. According to him, it's easier to give up a movie's rights and assume that the film will be ruined. Because, well, most of the time that's exactly what happens. Which is probably why Dahl was against movie adaptations. Though, did you ever wonder just how different his books were to the movie adaptations? Wonder no more, 'cause here are the main differences between the book and movie. The most important difference is that Charlie's dad is alive in the book, but the movie killed him off without batting an eye? No, sorry, no, it's for character development purposes, excuses. The audacity! William Bucket deserved better than this. Oh, and do you remember that iconic fizzy lifting drink scene with Grandpa Joe and Charlie? You know, the same one that got our poor boy into trouble with the eccentric factory owner? It never happened in the book. Plus, in the book, nobody's really allowed to break into song except the Oompa Loompas. It's an unspoken rule of sorts, you know? But in the movie, everybody's singing and dancing to their heart's content, even Wonka himself. I'm sure we can all agree that Dahl must have hated that addition. And that's all. These were all the reasons why the author hated the 1971 movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.